we're going to start talking about Ant-Man now. And this one is not going to be about spoilers yet, but it will be in the next one. So the first one I just thought was kind of interesting. Stephen Broussard, he was asked about Kang and his inclusion in Ant-Man. Now, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because um I like the fact that when these interviews come out, we get a chance to get inside the head of the creatives. And this is usually how and when I'm also able to critique and judge, right? Because I'm going to judge based off of what you say and what you do, right? So when they give us these little moments of their insight of like, this was our approach, now I can either commend you for it or I can criticize you for it. So I found it interesting that they came on here and talked about how like their thought process and how they developed Ant-Man 3. Now I've already told you Ant-Man 3 is not my favorite Ant-Man movie whatsoever. So and some of the things that they decided to do was very questionable, and this was something interesting. Like, why did you add Kang into this? How did that happen? So let's kind of look at that real quick. And they asked him, and was Kang always part of it, the movie? Because now we know there's the Kang dynasty. Kang is in Loki, and the movie reveals a whole bunch more about him. How did he become part of the film? So Broussard said this: he came later. So the first big idea was, what if it was all in the quantum realm? And the second big idea was, what if it felt like a bigger movie? While we love part one and part two, San Francisco crime based smaller movies, another big idea with this was, what if it was this epic movie? You take these characters and drop them off in a different kind of movie. If you're going to do that, you need a big bad, a big person for them to go up against. Let me just say this. I like where they were going with their thoughts, right? I totally understand trying to do something different. And I totally understand trying to make something epic. My issue with this, and this has been my issue with the film in itself. Okay, we're going to go into minor spoilers because I don't care about this movie, but I respect y'all. If y'all don't want to talk about spoilers, if it's a problem, this is the time to go away. Like, just, I don't know, something. Let me. Okay, so there you go. Spoiler alert. You got your spoiler alert. My issue with this is you want to make this movie epic. You want to make this movie have an Avengers level threat, right? Nothing about Ant-Man, nothing with this character warranted for you to put your A plus villain in this movie. Nothing. Now, here's what they could have done. What they could have done, which I think could have been probably even more fitting, y'all could have just made MODOK better. Rather than making MODOK a cheap gag running joke, you could have actually made MODOK, I don't know, the lord of that realm, the main villain, the person that's controlling it. And then, of course, Scott, fine. He finds out it's Darren and all that. Fine, whatever. But after that, you could have been like, wait a minute. MODOK, you were always working for somebody else. Who's Kang? Bingo. Tease Kang. Tease something bigger and badder. But because here's the thing. Think about it. When you go back and watch this movie, remember when they were like, oh no, they're scenting the hunter. MODOK had a reputation. MODOK had something behind him that struck fear in other people's hearts at that time. He was not a joke to people in the quantum realm. If you were to tell me that Ant-Man was going against MODOK, I would have been like, fine. Now you actually have a villain that matches the hero. Because imagine this. What they just did here is almost like saying, we're going to make a Howard the Duck movie, and to make it epic, we're going to put him with Dr. Doom. Excuse me? Excuse me. You don't put Howard the Duck and Dr. Doom together in the same movie at all. In the same way, you don't put little Scott Lang with your premier follow-up to Thanos in the same movie. Why? Because, especially given the ending, you cheapen the whole aspect of Kang. Now, I haven't thought about doing a full breakdown or whatever, but let me just give you a little quick piece. This version of Kang that we got, and I'll talk about this in my theory video, but this version of Kang that we got, this was not just some variant, right? This was actually, according to the movie's own admission, this was actually the biggest, baddest Kang of them all. This was Kang the Conqueror. Okay? This wasn't Ramatut. This wasn't Immortus. This wasn't Lizard Kang or Silver Scott. This was the Conqueror. In other words, this was like probably Kang Prime. This is the Kang that we see in the comic books. This is the Kang. You saw the outfit. You saw the uniform. You saw the scars. This was Kang. Okay? This Kang was so bad in a villainous way that the other Kangs were scared of him. You know why? Because they were so scared of him that they couldn't even confront him. Did y'all see how many Kangs were there in the post-credit scenes? You had all them Kangs. All of them had technology. All of them were smart. All of them were just as ruthless as he was. You had all them Kangs, and they were scared of that one. And they were so scared of him, they didn't jump him. They didn't gang up on him. They didn't even confront him. You know what they did? They had to trick him to trap him. He wasn't flying in some jail cell. He was flying in his regular ship. He thought he was going in a regular place doing whatever he was going to do. And what happened? They sabotaged his ship. What does that mean? That means that somebody had to be sneaky and mess up something in his ship to cause it to explode and to crash in the quantum realm. Why? Because they were too scared to do it in his face. That's how big and bad this Kang is. And that's the antagonist for Scott? That's the main villain for the man that talks to ants? Y'all just shooting yourselves in the foot. So like I said, when I listen to these kind of, thought processes through the interviews, this is where a lot of my criticism comes from. Because it's not just me sitting here saying like, oh, I'm better than y'all and da-da-da. I'm looking at your train of thought and I'm wondering, how did you get here and you ended up there and then you did that? What's happening? Who was in the room with y'all? Somebody literally was in the room and was like, oh, yeah, good idea. Let's put a couple $100 million and run with it. Y'all get paid for this? It's just one of those things. I don't get it, because once again, you guys pride yourselves in trying to be great storytellers, but sometimes these stories Anyway, how do you feel about this whole idea of how Kang came about? Now, of course, wait, hold on. Let me forgot to even add this. When you get rid of this big bad, now, by the way, I don't think he's gone. Matter of fact, just a little quick tip. I'm about to tell y'all exactly how Kang could come back. That's going to be the theory video I'm working on. And no, y'all other big YouTubers, they ain't touched on this. Okay? They done gave y'all some wild stuff, but they ain't touched on this. And y'all saw it and missed it. Everybody missed it. The bigger problem with the fact that, like, trying to get rid of this Kang, besides wasting his potential with this D-list character, you now water down the significance and the threat that comes with him. And not only that, what do we have to look forward to? Because now, what are you telling me, Marvel, at this point? You're telling me that this was the biggest, baddest Kang. He was the conqueror. He was the Kang that everybody else was afraid of. And the guy that talks to ants got rid of him. So now the one thing I have to look forward to are the people that were below him. I have to look at the variants that were too scared to even go against him. So this is almost like saying, you know what? We're going to let Falcon defeat Thanos, and then we're going to let the Avengers deal with the Black Order. Where's the sense of progression? Where's the sense of lead up? Because now I don't care about the other Kangs that much. Because you already told me they got rid of the biggest, baddest one. So the other ones are just going to be light work. I mean, am I not right? I don't know. Like, this is what you're telling me in your story. You're telling me that was the biggest, baddest Kang that other Kangs were afraid of. He got beat by a bunch of ants. And now the only threat we have is that we just got to deal with more of them, but more lesser versions of him. All right, I guess. Whatever. Man. So, like I said, it's just the storytelling, the arguments here. I just don't get it. I'm not feeling it. I mean, I will keep an open mind. I will see what happens later. I don't know, but I'm just saying right now, this was not working for me. This was not working for me. Anywho, y'all let me know. How did you feel about Kang being added? Do you like their idea? Do you like their thought process? How are you feeling? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. This was just a segment of one of my live chats, and if you're interested in joining in on the next one, be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications for more. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.